deck we saw earlier, this is a true white weenie deck in the sense that every creature has cost 1, 2, or 3, with the exception of the Afara.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, this is quite the moment. We come in the deciding game 3. Martin's life total a little bit low, but he does have Aetherling and Mutavault versus 2 Daring Skyjix.
Historically, a fight that has favored Aetherling.
Right, but it's far from unresolved, because the Skyjix capable of flying over the Mutavault and Aetherling.
If Derek were to find one more attacker, yes.
One more attacker, because the Aetherling is going to need 3 turns to kill. If Derek plays a powerful enough attacker next turn, he could theoretically actually still be in this.
But Aetherling does close the game so fast.
Yeah. Basically, there's not really anything bigger than Aetherling in terms of powerful end games, and he is real close. He's about 1 turn away from having the game just completely locked.
See Martin here going through a lot of permutations of.
Yeah, here the big question is, how much mana should he use on this Aetherling, if any? And he ends up using none. He's got Syncopate, but he just wants to be as careful as possible.
Maybe he's just waiting for 1 or 2 more mana to finally be able to really flex his muscles here.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have to make that decision of, if you attack with the Aetherling 1 time and just do 4 damage, it costs you 1 mana to untap it, but you reduce the clock by a full turn. However, Martin doing the math, deciding he wants to save as much mana as possible.
And here is a detention sphere from Derek.
See, and it's exactly this type of thing that makes you want to reduce the clock. Oh, now we see the truth.
So a Fated Retribution here at instant speed is going to take care of the 2 Daring.
And this makes it wildly clear why exactly we're on this plan. Crafty.
And now Aetherling is back with a boatload of mana and a stable board.
Absolutely. This is a real good spot for Martin, particularly since he's sitting on Syncopate.
Goes in, fires up the Mutavault, attacks with Aetherling and Mutavault, makes his Aetherling unblockable, pumps it to the max, flips it back out.
Interestingly, no longer able to syncopate very much.
Well, what is he worried about syncopating at this point, potentially?
Yeah, just about the worst thing that could happen to him would be maybe like a Pithing Needle. There's not really a lot that can even interact with him at this point.
And even at this stage, the 4/5 is good enough to get the job done with no text.
Yeah, absolutely. And there we see the hand.
So Martin Goldman-Kirst, 2 games to 1 over Derek Thedell, playing a white splash blue aggro deck. When previews for Born of the Gods came around, most of the hype on the gods was around Xenagos and Mogus, because Xenagos obviously fits into green-red monsters pretty naturally, and that was a deck that people were already playing. Rakdos was kind of a deck hanging around the fringes of the format. It won the Grand Prix in Chile earlier in the season, and Mogus definitely has an exciting and powerful-looking text box. But actually, so far in Standard, I would say that Afara has actually made the most impact on new decks or people constructing their decks differently, even though we haven't actually seen a lot of Afaras in the top tables thus far in the Open Series with Born of the Gods. It's the card that I've seen most frequently on camera as something that people are trying to build around, either in a white-based aggro deck splashing blue or in Blue Devotion splashing white. I even saw it in an Esper list next to Elspeth and Obsidat, so a lot of ways to build around that card.
Yeah,